I built a fake coworker out of bubble wrap just to cover my breaks. 6 months later, corporate wanted to give him a $40,000 raise. Back when I worked the graveyard shift at a massive e-commerce fulfillment center in Dallas, the job was soul-crushing. 11 hours a night, 6 nights a week, staring down endless rows of metal shelving until my brain turned to mush. To survive an unbearably slow Tuesday shift, I decided to pull a harmless prank. I grabbed a bright yellow safety vest, stuffed it with 6 rolls of heavy-duty bubble wrap, plopped a battered hard hat on top, and drew a goofy face on a yellow bucket for a head. I taped a plastic screwdriver to one hand, clipped a radio to his belt, and taped a clipboard to his arm. I named him Maintenance Mike. I posed him crouching in a dark corner of aisle 42, hunched over an open breaker box like he was mid-repair. The plan was simple. Let him freak out my supervisor for a couple hours, get a laugh, then toss him in the compactor before sunrise. Except nobody realized he was fake. My supervisor walked past at 2 a.m., saw a figure crouched near the panels, gave a respectful nod, and kept walking. By 4 a.m., some coworker had set a half-empty gas station coffee by Mike's boot so he'd stay awake. By the end of the week, Maintenance Mike had a life of his own. And because I felt weirdly responsible for my creation, I started doing real maintenance work under his name. Jammed conveyor in Section B? I'd run over, clear it, and clip the completed work order to Mike's chest. Pallet jacks needed grease? I serviced them at 3 a.m. and logged it under an employee ID I quietly invented using an old retired worker's number. Coworkers began sticking notes right onto Mike's chest. Hey Mike, printer 3's jamming again. Mike, check hydraulic lift 4. And every night I fixed it, signed his name with a flourish, and relocated his bubble wrap body to a new corner of the warehouse. Within 2 months, Maintenance Mike had the highest task completion rate in the entire South Central region. Supervisors praised his work ethic, his quiet demeanor, and his mysterious refusal to ever take a lunch break. That should have been the end of the joke. Then came the annual regional audit. Our VP of Supply Chain Operations, a terrifying corporate suit named Mr. Sterling who wore $3,000 suits and never smiled, flew in from Chicago to review our metrics. He froze on Mike's digital profile mid-presentation. Sterling slammed his fist on the table. Who is this Mike guy? 84 critical equipment failures resolved this month. 0 overtime logged. Why hasn't this man been fast-tracked for management? My floor manager, too terrified to admit he'd never actually met Mike in person, stammered, Sir, Mike is exceptionally camera-shy, prefers working alone, late shift. Sterling didn't care. He announced, on the spot, that Mike would receive the Regional Employee of the Year award and a $10,000 bonus, live on the warehouse floor at 8 a.m. sharp. I was staring down total financial ruin and possible fraud charges. If payroll tried cutting a check to a mannequin made of shipping supplies, I was going to prison. So at 7:45 a.m., with 40 managers gathered around aisle 42 holding a banner, I stepped forward, pulled off my safety goggles, and confessed everything. I explained how Mike was built from packing materials. I showed Sterling the script I'd written to patch our broken ticketing system. I admitted I personally fixed all 84 equipment failures, rerouted the forklift traffic, and cleared every bottleneck in the building, all hiding behind a bucket-headed mannequin. The warehouse went dead silent. My floor manager looked like he might pass out. Sterling stared at me for 10 agonizing seconds. Then his face cracked into a grin, and he burst into a booming laugh that echoed off the rafters. He pointed at me. You built a dummy to expose how broken our systems were, and then single-handedly optimized this entire 300,000 square foot facility just to keep the bit going? 2 weeks later, I was pulled off graveyard shift and named Regional Director of Operational Efficiency with a 40% raise. As for Maintenance Mike, he wasn't thrown away. He stands in the lobby of corporate headquarters in Chicago to this day, yellow hard hat and all, holding a golden clipboard, quietly reminding every executive who walks past never to underestimate